You've been carrying around that anger for 10 years. What if I told you it only takes 10 minutes to drop it? Most high performers are scaling mountains in a weighted vest of old fear and unprocessed shame. They think carrying it is strength. It's not. It's fiction. In my world, we don't manage baggage. We release it. Through mental emotional release, your subconscious keeps the wisdom, but drops the weight. Stop reacting to your past and start responding to your present. It's time to move from performing to transforming. Listen to this episode of Legit Mindset Podcast now, and let your next breakthrough be legit. What if I told you the anger you've been carrying around for 10 years actually only takes about 10 minutes to release? Most of us treat emotional baggage like a life sentence. We think that we have to manage our triggers or cope with our past forever. But the truth is, your subconscious doesn't want to hold on to that weight. It's just waiting. It's waiting for the lesson. And once the lesson is learned, the baggage is gone. In 10 minutes, you can drop the weighted vest you've been wearing for decades. Welcome to the Legit Mindset Podcast, where we talk about those hidden chapters, the failures, the lessons, and the breakthroughs that make success real. I'm Curtis McCullom, certified clinical hypnotherapist, president of Bespoke Human Potential Coaching, and the creator of the Legit Mindset. Welcome to the show. Today, we're going to be talking about MER, mental and emotional release, and how to tell if your emotions are clean or if they are laced with baggage. Why do some setbacks feel like a pebble in the shoe? You know, that little nagging thing that happens. You know, you have something in the shoe and it's nagging you. While others feel like a big boulder sitting on your chest. For many entrepreneurs, an emotion like fear or shame isn't just a reaction to a bad quarter. It's actually laced with baggage. When an emotion is disproportionate to the event, when you get a late email and it triggers a 8 out of 10 level rage, that's a sign of old invisible patterns running the show. You know what I'm talking about? When an employee walks into the room and interrupts you and you just go off on that employee, that's a sign of emotional baggage. Another one for me is when you are driving, right? You're driving and someone cuts you off. It was innocent, meaning that they didn't see you and they cut you off. And boy, you just get livid. You clench your fist, you throw that middle finger up and you say every word that you could possibly think of to let them know that they cut you off. And then you wave your fist, and if you're really angry, you basically reach in your glove box and pull out your thing and says, hey, look, you did it again, I'm going to shoot you. And then you follow them down the freeway for a minute and letting them know, hey, I saw you, you did me wrong, type of thing. And then you go to the office, you talk about it all day. That's emotional baggage, guys. That's an 8 out of 10 for something that could have just been a 2 or a 3. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about this overreaction to things that happen in our life. But if we don't release this baggage, it's almost like we're trying to scale a mountain wearing a weighted vest. But real transformation starts when you stop reacting to the past and start responding to the present. Let me say that again. Real transformation starts when you stop reacting to the past and start responding to the present. And I always look at that word responding. It's like respond, power to respond, responsibility, meaning like I have the power and the responsibility to respond a certain way. It's not a reaction, it's a response, and I have the power to do so. So so let's look at this. What does it look like? What does what does it look like, a clean emotion versus baggage through the legit mindset lens? You know what legit mindset, just a reminder of those who are new to the show, legit mindset is a framework in which I created. It's about learning, growing, expanding, and transforming. And the first one is learning. When I'm looking through it through this lens, learning is the awareness. You actually recognizing the big five, right? When I'm going through a session with the client, whatever when we finish the cognitive part of it, figuring out what is the root cause, what is the greater problem that's actually causing this behavior, we still go back and to release all of these big five. We do it every session. I do these big five. Number one, we do anger first, we do sadness, we do guilt, and we do shame. All of them. And then we kind of seeing it when these emotions are laced with past traumas, because that's the recognizing of them. Because see, any of these feelings or emotions or things that we're going through right now, these emotions, any of these big five emotions, usually we can always date them back to an experience, what I call a significant emotional event. What's a significant emotional event? A significant emotional event is something that just happened not too long ago, and it caused us to feel a feeling or emotion. Let me give you an example of that. Um, if if you were in a relationship and your partner broke up with you, you got angry because they broke up with you. Well, that's a significant emotional event. Most of the time in coaching or most of the time in therapy, that's where they start with this significant emotional event. Well, what we do, we look at those five emotions and says, okay, now what is the root cause of that emotion? To be totally aware when it actually started. To give you an example would be is that your first time you ever felt anger, and if you can remember a specific time, that's probably not the time when you first experienced anger. It could have been, it could have been, it could have been when you were 2, right? And you were still wanting a bottle, and your mom didn't come and give it to you fast enough, and you got this feeling that you could not really describe or have a label for it. So you had this feeling of anger kind of bubbling in there. That's that beginning of that anger. That's the same anger that trailed with you all the way through your life to that present day anger when you broke up with your partner, right? So that anger. So what we do, we want to figure out and acknowledge these feelings, these emotions that could potentially be laced with baggage. And most of them, most guys, most past emotions are laced with something bad. It's not something new. It's always something that probably something that traumatic that happened to us somewhere time, sometimes past in our lives. So the first part is the awareness of it. We need to be aware of it. The growing part of it is the releasing. It's releasing the resistance. The resistance. That's where MER comes in at. This is where this powerful modality we use, that what it does, it allows the subconscious mind. It's so powerful. I love this. It allows the subconscious mind to preserve the learnings while letting go the negative emotion itself. Wow. Think about it. If we can just get the learning. So it's not like you are forgetting what happened in the past. You still see the past as it was. The difference is that the learning that you got from that event is totally different than what you've seen in now, currently. When you look at it now, your anger just be angry. When you get a learning from it, you're looking back at that incident of the 2-year-old, mom didn't feed the bottle. You're like, oh, now the learning is that sometimes I need to be patient in order to get what I truly want. That's a learning. So I'm carrying that learning now forward. So what we do, we release the negative emotions, but we retain the learning. So the subconscious will then, what it does is it will continue to present the problem to you. So sometimes what happens is that when we don't release the anger, when we don't release the negative emotion, the subconscious mind will continue to present the problem to you in different ways. I mean, it has a way of trying to get your attention. Like, hey, right now I'm feeling this inordinate feeling of anger, and what happens is I got migraines, I got headaches, I got a neck ache, I got a backache, I got a stomach ache. All of these aches and pains sometimes that we have is because of the fact that we have not released some negative emotion that we need to let go. And the subconscious mind keeps trying to tell you your stomach is hurting, not hurting because you're sick to the stomach. It's hurting because you need to let go of something that no longer serves you. And that's what this is all about. So you have the learning, which is the awareness, and then you have the growth, which is letting go what that the resistance of that those old emotions that it no longer serves you. Always remember, guys, remember this, and I love this. My mentor, as I said, Tim taught me this many years ago when I was going through hypnotherapy school, is that a feeling is just an emotion. A feeling is just an emotion that wants to communicate with us and leave. That's all. And when we can get that, when we understand that, when we know it's just trying to communicate something with us and it's going to leave, that's when we have the power to continue to move forward. So the expanding part, expanding is now gaining a new perspective. That's nice. You're getting a new perspective. See, because once the baggage is gone, you no longer see the challenge as a threat to your worth. It's just a lesson. And you remember that's what I've been kind of share with you all the time is that that's what the legit mindset is all about, is that knowing that whatever we're going through, whatever setback, whatever heartbreak, whatever failure that we're actually going through is an opportunity for us to learn something. And once we learn it, we can kind of let it go. And that's what it's all about. The expansion, you got the learning, you got the awareness, you got the growing, which is the releasing, and then you got expanding, which is now getting the lesson, man. Now it's like, wow. Now I see what it was trying to show me. You know that old saying, it's always 2020 when you look back. When you in the storm, you can't really see the benefits of the storm. When you're out of the storm, you look back on how you've grown. You says, "Wow, no, I don't wish I went through that storm, but because of that, I've become a totally different person." That's the transforming. It's the integration. It's actually becoming the version of you that was always there. As you well know, and I've said many times, that I truly believe that we have all the resources to become the best version of ourselves right inside of us. When we were born, when we came into this world, I truly believe God, or the infinite source, or whatever you want to call it, instilled in us this greatness that we have to sometimes go back to figure out who we truly are. Where emotions, these emotions just want to inform you. They don't want to control you. It's that version of yourself where emotions just inform you. They let you know what's happening, and they no longer control you. Why is this important? Because we're all human, and we have moments in our lives where we will experience anger again. We will experience sadness again. We will experience fear and guilt and shame. The difference is that that's no longer a part of our identity. We don't identify with those emotions. We see them for what they are. We don't have to identify with them. We don't have to use that as a label. We don't have to use that as a badge of honor. I'm an angry person. Well, no, I'm feeling anger right now. So what is it I need to know? What did I need to do to let this anger go? That's the difference. This episode, guys, is sponsored by Bespoke Human Potential Coaching. If you're a CEO, a founder, or an entrepreneur who has achieved surface level success but still feels a little disconnected inside, it's time to stop performing and start transforming. Please, we can help you identify exactly what it is, those invisible patterns that's blocking your growth, including the emotional baggage that MER is designed to clear. All you have to do is just visit my website at bespokehumanpotentialcoaching.com. On the top right-hand side, click that button, book your 15-minute clarity call, get to know me call, whatever call you want to call it. Let's make your next breakthrough legit. Let's get back to the show. Now, so how do we do this? How do we apply this information we talked about today? How do you know when or if the emotion is laced with baggage or not? First, let's have an intensity check. An intensity check is now seeing that, is it a minor? If it's a minor inconvenience, or does it trigger an emotional spike? That's baggage. If it triggers an emotional spike, that means it has baggage in it. The second one is, how do you feel when that feeling comes up? How old do you feel right now in that emotion? If you feel shame like a child instead of a CEO, that's the emotional carrying the weight from the past. So stop and kind of seeing and analyzing, how do I feel right now? Am I acting like a child? Am I having a temper tantrum that like a child? Am I the anger that I'm getting about? Am I on the floor, walling on the floor and doing all these crazy things? That means, that means there's some baggage in there. And lastly, number 3, the MER learning. The subconscious mind, you remember, the subconscious mind loves to learn stuff to assist in releasing negative emotions. So ask yourself this. Ask your subconscious, your higher self, what is there for me to learn from the past, from this past event? The learning of which will allow me to let go of this emotion easily and effortlessly. That's exactly one of the things that I ask my clients. What is it? What is it you need to learn about this event, this past event, the learning of which will allow me, you talking in the first person, to let go of this emotion with ease and without effort. And then allow that learning to come up. Allow that lesson to surface and get the learning from it. What if? What happens if you clear the baggage? What if you stop being a hostage of your triggers? You'll gain the legit ability to stay grounded during a crisis. Because you aren't fighting ghosts from 10 years ago. Take a moment this week and ask yourself this. Where in my life am I performing instead of transforming? Because that awareness, that's where real change begins. Ready to move from performing to transforming? Visit Bespoke Human Potential Coaching to book your 15-minute clarity call, an introduction call, whatever you want to call it. Let's get to know each other. Let's have a cup of coffee. If this message resonated, share it with someone who's on their own breakthrough journey and season. This is the Legit Mindset Podcast. Failures, lessons, and breakthroughs. Real stories, real setbacks, real growth. I'm Curtis McCullom. Be legit.